He attacked the Braves for 9 innings. He struck out 10 batters. He walked 1. He allowed 5 hits. He does give up a run, but it's after Houston's already got the game pretty much sewed up. Then he hit 2 because Darwin didn't just pitch this game. He joined the offense, singled home a run, laid down a sac bunt, and kept dragging the night back onto his own shoulders. This wasn't a superstar performance in the clean, modern, poster-ready way. Nobody turned him into a national brand. He didn't need that. He made himself useful as a starter, a reliever, swingman, the emergency plan, staff glue. He's the guy a manager can hand the ball to without needing a speech, a chart, or a candle. Prayer candle. That's dumb. On this night, he didn't give Houston a highlight. He gave Houston the whole game. 9 innings, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 hits at the plate, 1 RBI, 1 sacrifice bunt. Astros 5, Braves 1. That's not a pitcher having a nice night. It's a grown man clocking in. Welcome back to Sports Lab 100. This is Astro 45. The player is Danny Darwin. The game is July 25th, 1990. Houston Astros 5, Atlanta Braves 1. I'm documenting 1 game per player until I reach 100, and nobody's going to stop me. The full route. It's the guy who doesn't care what role you give him because once the game starts, the job is the job. Darwin did the job. The Astros come into this night 40-57, which is a record that doesn't exactly scream national broadcast. Hold on to that thought. So it said to stir frequently. I stirred it once. I didn't put the timer on either, so we'll see what happens. The Braves came in at 39-55, and Atlanta was in that strange last breath before everything changed. The next year, the Braves become the Braves. The worst to first story. The rotation, the October machine, Bobby Cox, Smoltz, Glavine, Avery, Justice, Gant. But this isn't that yet. This is the year before the year. This is dust. Scaffolding. It's a team learning how much losing it can survive before the good version shows up. Houston, they're in their own in-between state. The 86 Astros are gone. The Bagwell-Biggio era isn't fully here yet. Biggio's here, but he's not yet the Craig Biggio that we know. He is, but he's batting 6th and playing center field. Whatever. Ken Caminiti's here, and he's not yet the RBI machine that he becomes in San Diego. Eric Yelding is here. Glenn Wilson, Bill Doran, Franklin Stubbs. Useful players, familiar ones. Transitional furniture. Then there's Danny Darwin, 34 years old, right-handed, Bonham, Texas, nicknamed the Bonham Bullet and also Dr. Death. That's one of those nicknames that sounds fake until you remember old baseball nicknames were either charming or threatening, sometimes both. Darwin had already lived several pitching lives by this point. He was a Texas Rangers prospect, Milwaukee Brewer, Houston stretch run pickup, starter, reliever, swingman. He'd been around Nolan Ryan. He'd been around losing teams, and he'd been around contenders. He'd been around the awkward part of baseball where your value's obvious to everyone who's using you and invisible to everyone selling the sport. I gotta turn that burner off. Don't smoke weed and cook. You'll forget to cook. In 1990 was going to become his masterpiece. He'd finished the season 11-4 with a 2.21 earned run average. He'd win the National League ERA title in 48 appearances. 17 of them were starts, 31 in relief. Most ERA titles belong to starters, with a capital S. Rotation guys. Guys whose season's easier to explain. Darwin's 1990 is very strange. He's a reliever and a bridge and a tourniquet and a starter. Whatever Houston needed, he was there. Run prevention. On this night, he didn't look like a hybrid arm. He looked like the whole pitching staff. Actually, hang on, because I don't want to make this game sound too clean. That's the trap with old box scores. You look back and it feels orderly. Astros score early. Darwin pitches well. Braves scratch one late, roll the credits. But the actual texture is messier and better. This is a game where Houston's offense is basically Eric Yelding running around Atlanta like he found a loose skate. Hey, buddy. This is a game where Darwin is hitting singles. The future Hall of Famer is in center field. Steve Avery's 20 years old and getting knocked around before he becomes one of the arms people remember from when the Braves rose. So let's walk into it right. Art Howe's managing Houston. He'd been an Astro as a player, then came back as manager in 1989. He's remembered now by a lot of people through the distorted lens of Moneyball. That's not really fair, and it's not really useful here. In Houston, he's managing a club between identities. The Astros weren't terrible in the sense of being empty, but they had a lot of pieces. They had some useful veterans. They had young players, but they weren't yet an argument. Their roster looking for their next shape. Across the field, the Braves are managed by Bobby Cox. When we're recording this, or when this episode's being made, Cox's name lands a little heavier. We're only days removed from the news of his death. So watching him here in 1990 is strange. It's not the old emperor of the Braves dynasty yet. This is Bobby Cox stepping back into the dugout after the organization fired Russ Nixon in June. Cox is still the general manager. He's becoming the field manager again. In this game, he's just trying to survive the 1990 season. Braves look pretty bad. His starting pitcher, though, Steve Avery. Avery's not bad, right? He was drafted 3rd overall in 1988. Lefty, young, highly regarded, of course, Atlanta prospects. He's 20 years old here, and he's facing a lineup that isn't scary in any traditional sense, but it's annoying. Yeldon can run, Doran can handle the bat, Caminiti can hurt you. Biggio is a baseball player who makes things happen, even if the final version isn't showing up yet. Avery's final line is 6 innings, 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Not a disaster, not a quality start either, really. Houston bothers him all night. Darwin's final line is the difference between we had traffic and we never had a chance. The first inning gives you a preview. Eric Yelding walks, immediately steals second. Houston has motion before Avery's even settled down. They don't score. It tells Atlanta what kind of night it's going to be. The Astros may not be good, but they're not going to sit still either. Bottom first, Darwin gets Lonnie Smith, Jeff Treadway, and Ron Gant in order. No drama, no prologue, just 3 outs. Then the game breaks open in the second. Ken Caminiti leads off with a single. Craig Biggio follows with another single. Franklin Stubbs can't move him, but Carl Nichols, remember him? I don't. Comes through with a base hit to center. Caminiti scores, Biggio goes to third. Nichols ends up at second because Ron Gant makes an error in center field. It's 1-0, we'll take it, right? Darwin comes to the plate. Modern baseball's trained a lot of people to treat pitcher at-bats like scheduled comedy. It's not fair, not totally. It's not really wrong. A lot of pitcher at-bats were just institutionalized failure with a helmet. Darwin, though, he singles to right. Biggio scores. Nichols moves to third. Houston leads 2-0. Then Yelding doubles to left. Nichols scores. Darwin reaches third. He wasn't going to score from first base on a double. It's 3-0 Astros. That turned out to be more than enough. It's the first real shape of the game. Houston doesn't beat Avery with thunder. They beat him with pressure, singles, speed, and error. A pitcher who could put the ball somewhere useful. and Yelding turning the top of the order into a problem that Avery has to keep solving. Then Darwin goes back out and strikes out the side in the bottom half. Jim Presley, no relation. Dale Murphy, David Justice. That's not filler. Presley had power. Murphy's a 2-time MVP, even if he's past peak by 1990. Justice is a rookie, and he's already becoming one of the defining young players in the organization. Darwin punches through the middle of the Braves order after his team gives him 3 runs. That's the game telling you what it is. From there, it becomes a Darwin control exercise. The Braves get bits of contact. They get a Jimmy Kremer single in the third. Lonnie Smith doubles later. Jeff Treadway drives in a run, but there's no sustained pressure. There's no inning where Darwin starts fighting himself. He walks 1, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. A pitcher can dominate with stuff, but he controls the game with the strike zone. Darwin did both. The Braves had to swing. They had to solve him. They didn't get free innings. They didn't get the kind of sloppy pass that turns a single into a rally into a disaster. Houston adds a run in the 6th, and again, it's not glamorous. Carl Nichols walks. Darwin gets a sacrifice bunt. Yelding singles him in. That's a pitcher helping himself twice in one night. Once with the bunt, and once with the bat. I guess both times with the bat. The Astros lead 4-0. Dwayne Henry comes in for Atlanta and throws 2 scoreless. And there's a small future Astro note here. Henry's a Brave in this game, but he'll pitch for Houston the next season. That's the kind of connective tissue that these episodes are built on. Baseball history is full of guys crossing the field a year later, wearing different laundry, then suddenly becoming part of someone else's memory. Darwin keeps mowing him down. 6th inning, nothing. 7th, nothing. 8th, nothing. By the 9th, Houston squeezes out one more run. Yelding singles. He steals second because of course he does. Doug Sisk throws a wild pitch. Yelding moves to third. Bill Doran sac flies to center, and it's 5-0. Yelding's game is pretty good, by the way. 4 hits, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases, 2 RBI runs scored. Yelding's not in the top 100, but if you were in the Yelding episode, we'd find something else for Darwin, because this was pretty good. He's the offensive accelerant here. But this is Darwin's episode because of what he does with that support. Bottom of the 9th, Darwin's still out there. He's still out there. He's still out there. That alone has a different emotional temperature now. A complete game in 1990, it's not ancient history, but it's from a different pitching civilization. Darwin has a 5-run lead. He's earned the right to finish this. There's no automatic closer reflex, no sterile matchup motive, no pitch counts. Remember, 4 pitch counts. No bullpen gate opening because the spreadsheet says this is where the starter's night has to stop. Lonnie Smith doubles. Jeff Treadway singles him home. So the shutout's gone. And Darwin still finishes. Gate makes an out. Presley makes an out. Dale Murphy makes an out. The Braves got 1 run. That was nice. Not the game. Not the inning. Not even really the momentum. Darwin completes it. Astros 5, Braves 1. The thing I like about this game is it doesn't require any inflation. I don't have to pretend it was Pennant Race Classic. These are 2 losing teams. You don't have to pretend that Atlanta Fulton County Stadium was a rockin'. There was 9,492 in the seats. It wasn't in October. The country didn't stop to watch this game. Late July between 2 losing teams. Who'd watch that? We would. That's kind of the point, though. Baseball isn't mythology. I say we would. I'm talking to you guys from the crawfish boxes, all right? And Discord. Yeah? That's kind of the point, though. Most baseball is not mythology while it's happening. Most baseball's work. It becomes mythology later if somebody cares enough to go back and look. Darwin's whole career asks for that kind of looking because if you only glance and you see 171 wins and 182 losses, you see a good pitcher, long career, bounced around, not famous enough for casual fans, and not decorated enough for a shrine. But if you sit with it, you see something sturdier. Over 3,000 major league innings, more than 700 appearances, more than 1,900 strikeouts. A pitcher trusted in every possible role. A guy who could start, relieve, close, eat innings, rescue a game, win an ERA title, and hit. That's the deep dive stat I want to sit with for a minute here. Danny Darwin's 1990 ERA title is weird in the best possible way. He makes 48 appearances, but only 17 starts. He threw 162 and 2/3 innings, just enough volume to qualify. He finished with a 2.21 earned run average and a 1.027 whip. He walked 31 batters all year. That's the whole Darwin profile compressed into one season. Just broke my toe. Oh! He wasn't being protected by a single clean roll. And he wasn't piling up the traditional starter's workload. He wasn't their closer collecting ninth-inning ceremonies. He was just preventing runs in whatever container Houston gave him. And that makes the ERA title feel just a little more impressive, not less. Because when a starter wins the title, we understand the rhythm. 4 days off, start. 4 days off, start. There's pressure, but you got routine. Darwin's year had no routine. He had to live in the messier spaces. Some starts, some in relief, some in different shapes of the game. Still, 2.21. That makes me think about how value gets packaged in baseball statistics. Maybe it's just me being old and cranky, but I don't think every valuable thing should have to arrive in a clean marketing box. Some guys are just useful in ways that don't fit on a poster. It's not the failure of the player. That's a failure of the poster. Darwin was a poster for managers. He was a guy a manager could actually use. Can you imagine having this guy? Can you imagine having Danny Darwin on the staff today? On this night, Art Howe didn't need 6 relievers, 4 leverage conversions, and 3 mound visits. He needed Danny Darwin to pitch the whole game. So Danny Darwin pitched the game. Now the opponent matters here because Atlanta's fascinating in 1990. The Braves in this box score are almost a before and after pose. Lonnie Smith is a veteran with championship history. Dale Murphy's a beloved old star, fading in real time. Ron Gant and David Justice are young power pieces. Steve Avery's just a kid. Bobby Cox is new, back in the dugout. Lee Mazzoni has just become the Major League pitching coach after the June staff change. The dynasty's not here yet, but the ingredients are starting to sit all over the counter. That gives Darwin's game a funny history angle. He's not beating the great Braves. He's beating the pre-great Braves, the larval stage. The team still shedding the bad version of itself. Houston and Atlanta were division opponents. Then, because old baseball geography was drunk, I'm not drunk, the Braves were in the NL West, the Astros were in the NL West, so were the Reds, and the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres. So if you're new to baseball history, yeah, Atlanta was in the West. It was just the way it was. Houston and Atlanta saw each other as divisional traffic. The Astros and Braves do run into each other in postseason baseball multiple times after this. Houston got good again. Much later, they meet in the 2021 World Series. So when you watch this 1990 game, it's not exactly rivalry history yet. It's more like 2 future threads lying next to each other before someone else ties the knot. The Hall of Fame presence in this lineup is Craig Biggio, again, in center field, which that feels like a drawer, finding a drawer. What? Hall of Fame presence in the lineup is Craig Biggio, again, in center field, which feels like opening a drawer and finding a fork in the sock section. Sorry. Biggio goes 1 for 5 and scores a run. Nothing huge, but he's there. And with Biggio, that matters because his career is partly about accumulation, the daily grind, the 1,000 little games that eventually become Cooperstown. On the Atlanta side, the Hall of Famer in uniform is Bobby Cox. Dale Murphy has the emotional gravity of a Hall of Famer. Why isn't Dale Murphy in the Hall of Fame? Ridiculous, this dude. David Justice becomes the Rookie of the Year in 1990. Ron Gant becomes a star-level power player with speed. But on July 25th, 1990, Darwin controls everybody. Justice, none for him, strikes out 3 times. Murphy goes hitless. Gant, hitless. Presley, hitless, 2 strikeouts. That's the middle of the Braves order getting put in a filing cabinet. There's something ruthless about a veteran doing that to a baby team. He's not impressed by the future. He's still pitching today. He doesn't care what they're going to become. Tonight they're hitters. And his job is to get them out. That's where the Dr. Death thing makes baseball sense. He's not a cartoon villain with a twirly mustache. He's not a fake tough guy. You could be a future star tomorrow. Tonight you're going 0 for 4. For Houston, this game meant a win in a season that wasn't going nowhere, but it meant one more proof point in Darwin's best year. The Astros finished 75-87, tied for 4th in the division, 16 games behind the world champion Reds. That sounds bleak. Yeah, it's bleak. But mediocre seasons contain real achievements. Darwin's earned run average title, that's real. Yeldy's rookie speed is real. It's something we're not going to forget. Biggio's growth is real. Caminiti's presence is real. That's part of why this project works. A franchise's history isn't only the playoff games. It can't be. If you only care about the obvious peaks, you miss the connective tissue. You miss the players who carried seasons that didn't carry them back. For Atlanta, this loss is one more mark in the 1990 ledger. The Braves finished 65-97, last in the National League West, but the important sentence is the one after that. In 19-1, they turned into a pennant winner. This means that games like this is not just a loss. It's evidence from the season before the transformation. It's the ugly lab notes before the experiment works. And Avery's a perfect example in this game. He's hittable. 6 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs. He's 1-5 after the loss. He's learning in public. It wasn't fun, I'm sure. But sometimes it's how pitching prospects become pitchers. The next year, he's an 18-game winner and a major part of one of the most famous turnarounds in baseball history. That's a useful reminder. A player can look ordinary in the box score that you're watching and still be walking towards something much bigger. Darwin, meanwhile, is walking towards a different kind of ending. After 1990, he leaves Houston and signs with the Bo Sox. He keeps pitching. He has another excellent 1993 season. Later, he returns to Houston in 1996. He's involved in the white flag trade of 1997. Ooh. What's the white flag trade? It's one of those sounds like a newspaper columnist not got to name a war. He finishes in 1998 with San Francisco. He never becomes a household name, but 21 seasons in the major, that's a lifetime. That's a whole house. Rooms in Texas, Milwaukee, Houston, Boston, Toronto, Arlington, Pittsburgh, back to Houston, Chicago, San Francisco. That's not an accident. You didn't drive the truck for 21 years. At some point, the career itself becomes the assignment. Darwin's durability, plus his adaptability, plus his edge to survive the parts of baseball that grind softer players down. There's a good human detail in his Sabre story. As a coach, younger players would Google him and see the losses, the hits allowed, the raw career totals that look less flattering if you don't understand what 3,000 innings actually means. Darwin's answer is basically, do you know how long you have to be good enough to lose 180 games? Do you know how long you have to pitch to give up 3,000 hits? He's right. Longevity stats can look like scars if you don't know how to read them, but scars mean you were there. Darwin was there. This game is one of the cleanest windows into why. He didn't just pitch well. He played a complete baseball game. He controlled the mound. He handled the bat. He moved the runner, protected the bullpen. He gave a losing team a professional win on the road in late July, when it would have been easy for everyone involved to treat the season like a long hallway with no doors. It's not glamorous. It's better than that. It's useful. Usefulness stretched over years becomes a kind of greatness. Not Cooperstown greatness. He didn't get a statue, but franchise history greatness. That kind belongs in a 100-player project, because without players like Danny Darwin, you don't have a franchise history. I don't have a project, and you just have highlights. Well, we don't. Sorry. So that's Astro 45, Danny Darwin, July 25th, 1990. Complete game, 5-hitter. 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 run, 2 hits at the plate, 1 RBI, 1 sacrifice bunt. One more piece of evidence from a strange, excellent, hard-to-package season. The Astros won 5-1. Eric Yelding ran wild. Steve Avery took his lumps. Steve Cox stood near the start of a dynasty. Biggio stood in center field. And Danny Darwin stood in the mound until the game was over. Next time we jump back to the Warrior side for Warrior 21, Nate Thurmond, January 19th, 1960, and 9. It's a different kind of sport, different kind of giant. He's way up here, 4th ranked in history. Warrior 21 refers to the chronological date of the game inside the 100 series. Maybe I should have mentioned that at some point. 4th is his ranking in player efficiency rating times minutes. There you go. Nate Thurmond, January 19, 1960, and 9. That's a different kind of giant, different sport, different era, different shape of dominance. But the same question, what does a franchise remember, and what does it forget until somebody goes back and looks? For Sports Lab 100, I'm Kevin. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.